We want to delve deeper now into the role that race plays in police and justice reform, where divisions still exist in the state, and what the road ahead looks like.
Yeah, and we'd like to introduce you to our panel right now. To my right, we have Providence Public Safety Commissioner Stephen Perry. Thank you so much for joining us. And next to him is Jim Vincent, the president of the NAACP Providence branch.
And we have State Representative Anastasia Williams representing the capital city of Providence, and Terrell Paci, Providence firefighter. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, and I'd like to start the questioning with Terrell, and tell us about your recent encounter with two Providence police officers.
Recently, I was involved in an incident occurring outside my job. I was at Messer Street Fire Station. Two police officers came to the car, guns drawn, with me and my friend inside the vehicle. After I identified myself as a firefighter, they had put their guns away. And while on duty, and after realizing that me and my friend did not match the description of the two suspects, it still comes to the question of why they asked me for a search.
Did you feel profiled?
I felt that after identifying me as a firefighter on duty and that me and my friend did not match the description, I can't say whether it was racially charged or not, but it felt that it was more towards that.
I can't let this conversation go without acknowledging this year marks 20 years since the death of Cornell Young Jr. Most of us in this room, sorry Terrell, we're here and remember it very well. I covered it extensively, issues of race, police bias, police training. We explored that. 20 years later, have we done enough to ensure that something like that doesn't happen again?
We've done a better job in recruiting and bringing in officers that are pretty diverse. Unfortunately, they're not eligible to become sergeants and lieutenants. You'll see that in the next 5 or 10 years. Right now, it's not diverse, and it's an issue.
And Representative Williams is shaking her head.
Oh my God. You know, you talk about excuses when it comes for promotion, excuses when it comes for progress, when it comes for the community of color. That's all that's been given to us is excuses. We have been in the police department for decades, and still we are at the front line and still at the bottom of the scale. There are individuals that don't look like us that come in after us that are up there in the ranks, and that's totally unfair.
You got to look at what you need to do for public safety. What makes you a better department? Where do you put your pieces on the board so that you have the maximum trust in terms of the community? 20
years, it has not changed an awful lot.
Well, it looks like a bunch of you need to come to the table. I mean, there's a lot of stakeholders here.
Yeah, so I'll disagree, because we are a lot more diverse as a department than we were 20 years ago.
But that's conveniently, it's
correct.
Conveniently, you know, being an outsider looking in, and I love you, you know, I love you to death. Sure. But at the end of the day, our reality is not yours.
I understood.
And the fact of the matter that the suffrage that we are going through on a daily basis are not yours. So you're going to look at things from your perspective, through your eyes. We are living and we are presenting our realistic issues, our life, to you and others like you, and it's falling on deaf ears.
And I appreciate that, and that's not my point about changing. My point in changing, you don't have political corruption that we did have 15 years ago in the police department.
That's what you say, baby.
Well, we don't. We don't. There's no evidence of it. Political corruption where you had to pay to take a test. That's not happening.
That may not, but there's other political shenanigans going on, so there is political shenanigans going on. That has not been removed.
I understand that. We're the first city in New England, large city, to wear body cams 4 years ago without anything prompting it.
Yeah, and they're shutting it off and they ain't getting reprimanded. Should have been right on the spot.
That's not true.
You just said he hasn't been reprimanded.
Yet. But I didn't say he wasn't going to.
This is how old? How long has this been?
2.5 weeks.
Okay, so it should have been 2 hours after that. You have no reason why that should have been off. And I'm not implying that that needs to run 8 hours. I am saying that when they're getting out of that automobile to attend to a situation, that's an automatic. As soon as you hit that door, that cam is on throughout to when he comes back into that car, and then he can shut it off.
Yep.
So if it's off and we don't have no type of information that proof that what took place, sorry, suspension right now, no question, no 2.5 weeks later, we're We're thinking about it. Bottom line.
I agree.
Bottom line.
I think not having the body cam on now is egregious, and I think that whatever the union contract allows you to do,
Sure.
the maximum, because then other officers will know that if you have that body camera on, we're going to punish you as severe as we can, and that'll get around, and then we'll change the contract.
I'm interested in her bill, because I've publicly supported it, and if that bill doesn't pass as is, something's wrong. That gives the authority back to the chief and how he or she is going to discipline. And that panel can only overrule that chief if it's arbitrary and capricious. A
have a
standard
question.
that's pretty high to overcome, because that's a willy-nilly, I don't like you, and so I'm going to terminate you. So if that's not going on, the chief has the authority to do that. Right now, he or she has up to 2 days, and that's it. You go
Right.
through this other process.
And I have a question about 30 days. So you're saying that if the George Floyd incident happened in Providence for murder, he wouldn't get a 2-day suspension. He'd get a 30-day suspension for murder?
He might. And
that's not good
with the current law, absolutely.
30-day suspension for murder.
But let's just say, let's take off the murder.
No, but it could be
Let's
murder.
take off the murder off the table. Let's look at all the cases that has happened in the city of Providence that has been swept under the rug because of that current Bill of Rights.
No, I know that.
If Mr. Floyd was killed here, until the officer was indicted by a grand jury, they would be suspended with pay.
With pay.
And that could take months.
Years.
the-
6 to 8 months.
I appreciate the representative in sponsoring that bill. That bill is a grand slam.
And I
Watch to
appreciate-
see what happens to it.
It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a struggle because their status quo. There are two chiefs of police, New Shoreham and North Kingstown. They're saying they're fine with it the way it is. It's working fine. It's working fine for you all, but it isn't working fine for the majority. And it's a two-way street. One size does not fit all in the state of Rhode Island and in this country, but they're forcing it on us. And the time is here and time is now